VAR did it again, and Chelsea fans are tired of it. Let me ask you something before we get into this. Have you ever watched a Chelsea match, seen the ball hit the back of the net, stood up from your seat, screamed, maybe even hugged the person next to you, and then had to sit back down in silence because VAR took it all away? If you are a Chelsea fan, you already know the answer to that question. And on May 9th, 2026, at Anfield, it happened again. Liverpool and Chelsea played out a 1-1 draw in what should have been a straightforward Premier League match. But as always seems to be the case, when these two teams meet, the real story was not about the football. It was about the decisions, the reviews, the lines, the camera angles, the technology that was supposed to make the game more fair, but somehow always seems to leave Chelsea on the wrong side of things. So let us sit down, take a deep breath, and go through everything that happened at Anfield on that day. What VAR did, what PGMOL said, and why this fixture between Chelsea and Liverpool has become one of the most VAR-affected matchups in Premier League history. The match itself, Anfield, was loud, as it always is. Liverpool and Chelsea are two of the biggest clubs in England, and whenever they meet, the stakes are high. On this particular afternoon, both teams needed points. Liverpool were pushing to finish the season strong. Chelsea, under their own pressures, came to Anfield knowing a win would mean something significant. The match was tight. Both sides worked hard. Ryan Gravenberch put Liverpool ahead early in the game, giving the home crowd exactly what they wanted. Chelsea pushed back and Fernandez got them level. At that point, it felt like Chelsea were growing into the game and building momentum. Then came the moment that changed everything. The Cole Palmer goal that was not. It was the 49th minute. Cole Palmer, who has been one of the most exciting and reliable players at Chelsea this season, put the ball in the back of the Liverpool net. The Chelsea players celebrated. The Chelsea fans watching at home and in the stands went wild. It felt like Chelsea had done it. They had gone to Anfield, come from behind, and now taken the lead. But then the screen changed. The VAR check was underway. Here is what happened. In the build-up to the goal, Moises Caicedo played a pass forward. Marc Cucurella was involved in the move, and according to the semi-automated offside technology being used by VAR official James Bell, Cucurella's body position was marginally offside at the moment the ball was played. It was not a big offside. It was not Cucurella standing yards ahead of the last defender. It was a tiny, fine margin, the kind of margin that you cannot see with your naked eye, the kind that requires cameras and lines and technology to detect. But the rule is the rule. If any part of your body that you can legally score with is ahead of the last defender, you are offside. And so the goal was disallowed. Cole Palmer's moment of celebration was taken away. Chelsea's lead was taken away. The score went back to 1-1, and it would stay that way until the final whistle. Now ask yourself this. If that goal had stood, Chelsea would have led 2-1 at Anfield. Would they have held on? We will never know. But the fact that they were denied the chance to try is something that sat very heavily with Chelsea fans after the match. What happened at the end of the game? The VAR story did not stop with Palmer's goal. Deep into stoppage time, Chelsea had another appeal. João Pedro went down after a challenge from Jeremy Frimpong inside the penalty area. Chelsea players went to referee Anthony Taylor immediately. The fans watching wanted a penalty. VAR checked it. James Bell and his assistant Michael Oliver reviewed the footage. And then they decided not to intervene. Their reasoning was that the challenge from Frimpong on Pedro was a judgment call. It was a subjective decision. And because referee Anthony Taylor had already decided on the pitch that it was not a penalty, VAR would only step in if that decision was a clear and obvious error. According to the officials, it was not. So no penalty, no late winner for Chelsea. The match finished 1-1. Two VAR moments, both going against Chelsea. One took away a goal that would have given them the lead. The other denied them a chance to win the game at the death. Sound familiar? If you have been watching Chelsea long enough, it probably does. How PGMOL explained the decisions. After the match, PGMOL, which is the organization that manages match officials in English football, released their explanation for both decisions. And honestly, their explanation is worth understanding because it tells you a lot about how VAR actually works. For the Cole Palmer goal, they said it was what they call a factual review. Offside is not a matter of opinion. Either a player is offside or they are not. The technology draws the lines, measures the positions, and gives an answer. Because it is factual, the referee does not even need to go to the pitch side monitor to look at it. The call comes directly from the VAR room, and the goal is either allowed or disallowed. In this case, the technology said Cucurella was offside, so the goal was ruled out. For the João Pedro penalty claim, they said it was a subjective decision. Was there contact? Yes, probably. Was it a foul? That depends on how you interpret it. And because Anthony Taylor had already made a decision on the pitch, VAR would only overturn it if watching the replay made it absolutely clear that Taylor had made a mistake. They did not think he had. So the decision stood. This is the system. Factual errors like offside get corrected automatically. Subjective errors like fouls only get corrected if they are clear and obvious. That is the framework Howard Webb, the chief of PGMOL, has been pushing since he took over. Does it make sense in theory? Yes, it does. Does it always feel fair when you are on the receiving end of it? That is a very different question. Chelsea and Liverpool are history, written by VAR. Here is something that many people do not fully realize. The Chelsea versus Liverpool fixture has become one of the most VAR-heavy matches in the Premier League. Think back to August 2023. Liverpool and Chelsea played each other and both teams had goals disallowed. Mohamed Salah had a goal ruled out for offside. Ben Chilwell had a goal ruled out for offside. Both decisions came from tiny margins. Both were controversial. Both left fans on both sides feeling frustrated. Then came February 2024. Chelsea went to Anfield, and in that match, they were denied not one but two penalty claims. Two separate moments where Chelsea felt they should have had a spot kick. Neither was given. Neither was overturned by VAR. Chelsea lost the match. There was a massive debate afterward about whether they had been treated fairly. You can even watch old clips from that match online. People were asking serious questions about whether Chelsea were being denied fair decisions at Anfield. Then, in October 2024, something slightly different happened. There was a second penalty awarded to Liverpool during a match. But after the referee went to the pitch side monitor to review it, he reversed his own decision. Liverpool did not get the penalty after all, so VAR worked against the home side that time. That shows it is not always one-sided. And then there was the Carabao Cup final in 2024. Virgil van Dijk scored a goal that was ruled out because Wataru Endo was adjudged to be offside and interfering with play from a set piece. Another big moment, another disallowed goal, another night when VAR shaped the final outcome. Now add May 9th, 2026 to that list. When you look at all of these moments together, you start to understand why this particular fixture has become so tied up with VAR controversies. It is not just Chelsea fans imagining things. It is a real pattern. Every time these two teams play, there is at least one decision that becomes the main talking point. The semi-automated offside technology. Let us talk about the technology itself for a moment because it is important. Semi-automated offside technology is a system that uses multiple cameras placed around the stadium to track the positions of every player in real time. When a pass is played, the system captures the exact moment the ball leaves the passer's foot and freezes all the player positions at that precise instant. It then draws lines on those positions and calculates whether anyone is offside. This is different from the old VAR system where officials had to manually place lines on a video frame and hope they had chosen the right moment and the right camera angle. The old system was much slower and much more open to human error. The new system is faster and more accurate, but it is also more sensitive. It can detect offside margins that are so small that they are genuinely impossible to see with the human eye. Half a shoulder, part of an armpit, a toe. And that is where the debate gets really interesting, because technically the law is clear. Any part of the body you can legally score with that is ahead of the last defender means you are offside. There is no minimum distance. Even 1 centimeter counts. But is that really what the offside rule was designed to do? The original idea of offside was to stop players from just standing next to the goalkeeper waiting for long balls. It was about stopping players from gaining an unfair advantage. If a player's armpit is half a centimeter ahead of a defender, are they really gaining an unfair advantage? This is the question that Chelsea fans and fans of many other clubs have been asking for years. The technology is so precise that it is now catching things that the human eye cannot detect, and many people feel that this level of precision does not serve the spirit of the game. What do you think? Should offside technology be this sensitive, or should there be a minimum margin before a goal is ruled out? What this result means for Chelsea beyond all the controversy, Chelsea went to Anfield and came away with a point. In some ways, that is a decent result. Anfield is one of the hardest places to go in English football. Getting a draw there is not nothing. But Chelsea fans and the people who analyse the team closely know that a win was possible. Maybe even likely if Cole Palmer's goal had been allowed to stand. The 1-1 draw means Chelsea had to settle for a point when they could have had 3. Over the course of a season, those kinds of dropped points add up. They affect where you finish in the table. They affect whether you qualify for European competitions. They affect everything. And the fact that it happened because of a Cucurella offside that was so marginal that technology had to detect it makes it even harder to swallow. Chelsea have been building something under their current setup. They have real quality in their squad. Cole Palmer has been outstanding. The team shows fight and character, as they did at Anfield, by coming from behind to level. But moments like this, where decisions go against you in the biggest matches, can really affect a team's confidence and momentum. The Chelsea analysis community, the people who follow this team closely and think deeply about their performances, will be asking serious questions after this game. Not just about the decisions themselves, but about how Chelsea respond to them. How do you keep your head up and keep pushing when you feel like the system is working against you? That mental strength might be just as important as any tactical or technical quality as Chelsea push toward the end of the season. The bigger VAR problem in English football. It would be wrong to make this only about Chelsea. The VAR debate is much bigger than one club. Since VAR was introduced in the Premier League in 2019, there has been a constant conversation about whether it has improved the game or made it worse. The original promise was simple. VAR would correct clear and obvious errors. It would stop goals being wrongly disallowed. It would stop wrong red cards. It would make the game fairer. Has it done that? In some ways, yes. There have been moments where VAR has correctly overturned wrong decisions and made the right call. That is undeniable. But there have also been moments where the technology has taken joy away from fans without a clear benefit to the fairness of the game. Marginal offsides that nobody could see, penalty decisions that went back and forth, celebrations cut short, goals taken away, and the delays. Who can forget the delays? Standing in a stadium watching VAR review something for 2 or 3 minutes while the atmosphere deflates around you is one of the worst experiences in modern football watching. Howard Webb and PGMOL have tried to address some of these concerns. They have pushed for faster reviews. They have talked about being clearer in their communications. But the fundamental tension remains. The technology is extremely precise. The laws of the game have not changed to accommodate that precision. And so you end up in situations like the Palmer goal, where something so small it is invisible to the human eye determines the outcome of a top-of-the-table match. Something has to change. Either the technology needs to allow for a minimum offside margin, sometimes called a benefit of the doubt rule for attackers, or the laws need to be updated, or the way VAR is applied needs to be fundamentally rethought. Because right now, too many big moments in too many big matches are being determined by margins that no player can consciously control. And that does not feel like justice. A message to the Chelsea community. If you are reading this as a Chelsea fan, you have every right to feel frustrated. What happened at Anfield on May 9th, 2026 was genuinely tough. A goal that looked absolutely fine to every human watching was taken away by a line drawn by a computer. A penalty appeal that many people felt was valid was waved away because the bar for overturning a decision is so high. But here is something worth holding on to. Chelsea came to Anfield and fought. They went behind and they came back. They showed real quality and real determination. Cole Palmer was brilliant. The team worked hard and created chances and refused to lie down, and they came away with a point. In a long and difficult season, character matters as much as results. Chelsea showed character at Anfield. The decisions did not go their way. The technology worked against them again in this famous fixture. But they kept going. The real question now is what happens next. How does the club respond? How do the players respond? And will the governing bodies of the game finally start having the honest conversations that need to happen about whether VAR, as it currently operates, is truly serving the best interests of football? Chelsea fans have been asking that question louder than almost anyone. And based on everything that has happened in this fixture over the past few years, they have every reason to keep asking it. A final thought. Football is a game of moments, small margins, tiny decisions, inches and centimeters and split seconds that change everything. For a long time, those margins were left to human judgment. Referees made calls. Sometimes they got it right, sometimes they got it wrong, but the emotion of the game was intact. The celebration after a goal meant something because you knew it was real. VAR changed that. Now, every celebration comes with a small voice in the back of your head saying, wait and see, it might get taken away. And for Chelsea fans at Anfield on May 9th, 2026, it got taken away again. One day, the game will figure this out. One day, there will be a system that gets the big decisions right without destroying the small moments that make football worth watching. Until then, Chelsea fans will keep watching, keep hoping, keep fighting, and keep asking the questions that the sport has not yet found the courage to properly answer. Come on, Chelsea.